What's up, everybody? Welcome to Discourse and Chill. I'm Ian.
And I am Reese. This episode is an additional episode we decided to do after the events of January 6th, 2021, when Trump supporters and domestic terrorists decided they wanted to storm the Capitol to stop the confirming of Joe Biden as the 46th president of the United States. This episode touches on how we feel and just some issues that go on that were definitely brought to light from the events, and just trying to, touch on the situation that matters because it is one of the pillars of the things that we do. So, Ian, how did the
Mm.
events on that day, like, how are you feeling? How are you,
Um,
black man?
I'm doing okay. I think there's a level of disappointment that rests on my heart since then. I think it's nothing new, honestly. I don't think it surprised me or uh, it caught me a little off guard, but it didn't really surprise me that it was a possibility that could happen. I think the thing that surprised me the most is the comfort that was felt for the individuals standing on the steps of the Capitol after breaking in, how they seemed to walk in and walk out.
Yeah,
You know, it. I know they broke in and there
yeah,
was doors taken off hinges. There were police officers who were trampled, and I think a couple were killed. But even in that moment, I just thought about like, wow, they
hmm,
all of that happened, and they still just walked in and walked out. People carrying podiums and sitting at uh, Congress persons' desks, and it was just like an
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
spectacle to see. And I think the thing that stuck with me the most was seeing the picture of the Confederate flag inside of that building. I think that's something that I don't think is
Yes.
being discussed enough about how impactful and how huge of a
Hmm.
slap in the face of America that was. Um, to have a war with
Hmm. Yeah.
a region a region that wanted to secede, and then for what 200 almost 200 years later for that flag to be flown inside of the Capitol
Hmm.
building after domestic terrorists broke in, and for it to just be so safe and casual, and it just was a surreal moment for me, and just a huge disappointment. How about you? How did those events make
Yeah.
you feel?
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the same. I was at work
Mm-hmm.
and I was driving home. You called me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?" Like, I'm just getting in the car. I had no idea what was going on. So it definitely hit me with a
Mm-hmm.
level of shock. Um, I honestly can't say that I'm 100% surprised though, because even here in 2021, we still have um, these groups of people who feel entitled, who have been led by um, someone who, one, doesn't know how to lose, is extra narcissistic, but somebody who feels
Mm-hmm.
like they are above the law, and who had been all week pretty much like fueling the fire. Now that we go back and look at like all the tweets and like all the warnings, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
y'all wait till Monday. So like, when you have somebody that's putting a battery in your back, and that person feels
Mm-hmm.
like they're above the law, then they make you feel like you are also above the law as a supporter. I'm also kind of confused because they had like these, blue lives matters
Right.
flags with them,
Right.
but then like you're trampling and
Police
killing
officers.
the
Yeah.
blue lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm confused. Like, wait a minute now, and this your
Yeah.
and this your
Yeah.
man's and him, like, you know. So, and then to also see videos of those blue lives, pretty much like opening the door and like, standing to the side and watching you usher
Mm-hmm.
yourself on in, it kind of shows that with the responsibility of being quote unquote a
Mm-hmm.
blue life, some of them also still wear
Yeah,
the sheets,
absolutely.
so it's just
Absolutely.
one of those.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think one of the most surprising videos I saw was there was a barricade, and then a couple of police officers opened the
Mhm.
barricade to allow protesters to come
Open it up.
towards the steps. And then there were different entrances to the building.
Yeah.
And then I saw another video. A guy was saying that he was a reporter. He was like, "What are people doing right now?" And there were six police officers, Capitol Police. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think it was Capitol Police probably because it was before anybody was called. And they were just letting people in this door and standing by. And in my head, I was
Yeah.
confused because I don't understand fully the level of of freedom or privilege that exists for that to happen. Like, I think it was beyond my understanding of privilege in that moment, to understand that on camera
Right. But
a police officer is going to go against their oath to then help people that they also essentially support or empathize and sympathize with, to allow them space that puts the people they're supposed to protect in danger. You know, it was so multifaceted in that moment. I was
yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't. I knew it was bad, but I didn't truly understand that level or that audacity existed to where you're just really out
Hmm.
here breaking oaths on a regular basis. And I understand, from the policing aspect when it comes to black people, like I know where I stand, but even when it comes from like a white person protecting a white person and still allowing another white person essentially in the gates potentially harm the person that you vowed to protect. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah. So did you
Say
see
that
the
again.
videos? Go ahead. I said, did you see the video where they were like looking for Mike Pence,
Mm-hmm.
chanting, "Where's Mike
Yeah.
Pence? Where's Mike Pence? Where's Mike Pence?" Like they had of hanging him because he was quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote a traitor. So that's how you can have like one white person who's protecting another white person and let in the other white person
Mm-hmm.
because these two are in agreement that the
As a
first one
traitor.
is a traitor. So that's pretty much how that
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And you said like, in that moment I didn't understand the privilege.
I
You never will as a
facts.
black man because you won't be allotted
Facts.
that privilege. You never will know or even be able to understand how something so detrimental to
Mm.
our democracy, to our country, to like the
Mm-hmm.
overall well-being is allowed to take place. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's beyond, and we could never.
Could never. Could
We could
never.
never.
And I was thinking about was
Yeah.
it Philandro Castile who was shot in his car? Um, because he said he had a license to carry and a gun in the vehicle. And so in that moment, I think about
Hmm.
how black people do everything in their power to stay on this straight and narrow and are still in harm's way. You
Hmm.
know, that is just amazing to
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
if I still do everything that I'm supposed to do, when I leave my house, when I get into my car, if I get pulled over, there's a chance. There's a chance. And to see that people can
Yeah.
essentially organize and take over a Capitol building while democracy is in process, and they're able to then walk out, make it home, and yes, some of them are getting arrested. Yes, there was some individuals who were out past curfew who faced some police force, but it has no really weight or bearing like what they did. to walk up those steps, to feel comfortable, to stay there for
Yeah.
5 hours and just essentially like
Mm-hmm.
wait and say what y'all gonna do, like what are y'all gonna do to us? We pay your
Right.
salary. I saw so many videos where
Not
like
only.
we pay your salary. I'm like, y'all probably don't even pay taxes for real. Like
Right. Okay. Real talk, I saw memes, memes going around, and they were like, "Oh, the United States is the ghetto," like, which is like really, really crazy. They were calling it the ghetto, and I think Giddy, one of our mutual friends, put a post up, and she's like,
yes.
"This is not the ghetto." She's like, in ghettos. We give our last. In ghettos, we help each other. In ghettos,
Hmm.
you're welcomed here. She's like, America isn't the ghetto right now; it's the trailer park. And I, oh, oh wow, which is so crazy, because again, like the things that this group were
Hmm.
allowed to do, to come together
Mm.
violently and come out on the other side alive, whereas you have black people who come
Hmm.
together peacefully and
Yeah.
don't get to make it home. So it's those instances, those disparities that kind of make you lose faith in people. And it's sad that as black people we always have to be
Yeah.
on guard, like when do we get to
Relax.
just relax and be. I think I said to you, when we were talking, like, black people aren't always allowed to do anything
Yeah.
that ends in
Hmm.
ing. We cannot ing, be it walking, talking,
Driving.
running, living, breathing. Like, these are all things that we, right, driving, like, these are all things that we cannot do
Hmm.
um comfortably without always having in the
Yeah.
back of our mind, let me make sure I'm
Hmm.
doing this right. Am I ing right today? Am I inking right? Am I being proper
Hmm.
in my existing? Like, we can't even exist and it be okay to, our counterparts. Like,
Yeah.
because we're here, it's a problem. And had it been us trying to go into the Capitol
Hmm.
building, it would have been a
Yeah.
massacre on the lawn
Absolutely. Absolutely.
of
I
the Capitol
I
building.
saw a short clip of an interview, and somebody was talking about the woman who was shot, and they were outraged and they couldn't
Mm,
believe that the police would shoot this woman. And in the back of my head, I was like, wow, they're outraged of a woman who broke through a barrier, pushed past police, got to a place where they're like, look, you shall not pass, essentially. They're like, there's people behind us. We're going to protect this area, if nothing else. And she attempted to get into that
mm,
area anyway, was shot and killed. And the first thing I thought of is Breonna Taylor, who's in bed asleep, you know, passed out.
sweet.
And you have
Mind their own
illegal
business.
no knock warrants that we are
Yeah.
finding more and more out every day, it seems. Like, it seems to me like it was an orchestrated murder
Hmm.
at this point, because you have all the new
Yeah.
information about how the warrant wasn't necessary, the warrant was illegal, all these things. Like, that sounds like conspiracy for murder right there. And there
Hmm.
is no the outrage is not the same.
Yeah.
Like, there is no outrage for somebody who breaks
Yeah.
into a Capitol building while democracy is in progress, and then tries to push past police with their guns drawn and still hopes to survive. The fact that she thought she was still going to
Yeah.
survive that moment is, again, like a privilege that I will never feel, Because I know if I ever see the barrel of a police officer's gun,
Yeah.
those are my last moments, because there's just
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
it it's the scales are not equal. Like, Lady Liberty, like, there's a reason the scales are like this, you know what I mean? Like, this
Yeah.
us down here, like, down here, this us. And even like in response to even that, like, the I think Wednesday proved to me that Blue Lives Matter was only a response to Black Lives Matter. there was no bearing, there was no purpose, there was no foundation at
Mhm.
all. Um, because
Mhm.
they proved themselves that blue lives do not matter
Yeah.
if you are upset enough. You know,
Yeah. I
if
was
if if I am upset enough and believe
yeah.
that I have been wronged, then it's only what I want. And that's what we saw. We saw what
Yeah.
terrorism, white supremacy, like we saw that in action on Wednesday. And uh, like I feel for people like my mom and my dad who were in the military. Like they both served like combined 50 years for to like make a way for themselves, make a way for me, and they had to watch that on
Mhm.
Wednesday. You know, like my dad
Yeah.
sat and watched it, and I saw like all kinds of pain and disappointment in his face. And I know he told me afterwards, he's like, I gave this country 30 years of my life. And to see that unfold in the way that it
Mhm.
unfolded is heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
my dad, you know, my dad,
Yeah.
like, my dad is not somebody who
Yeah.
is like emotional or
Eh,
or willing to really,
he's
huh?
definitely stoned. I said
Yeah,
he's definitely
exactly. He
stoned.
definitely is. And I think to hear those
Yeah.
words from him and to see his demeanor on Wednesday was hard. Honestly, it was really hard to just watch him
Yeah.
process all of those
Yeah.
things and sit back and
Mhm.
have to do nothing, you know, and have to just process what he's
Yeah.
seeing and really reconsider what it meant for him to serve this country for 30 years and think about I did all this and my son is still in danger, you know? Like it's a hard
Mhm.
place to be.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're black in America, I'm gonna say that too.
Yeah. It definitely It definitely is. And I know, I mean, I've said to you plenty of times that, as black women, we
Hmm.
fear for black men on a daily. I mean, we obviously have to
Absolutely.
fear for ourselves as well, but it's saying,
Hmm.
all right, be safe, and I'm always all right, have fun, be safe. But to have to be like, a thing that I have to say, be safe, come home, is kind of
Hmm.
it's exhausting. It is exhausting to be, day to day, to fear that even here in 2021 that we are still
Hmm.
struggling for survival and struggling to be accepted as a people, and that one person in this case can um just rile up a
Hmm.
crowd, stir the pot, and basically, the coals were quote unquote burning out, but they've been shuffled, and the embers are starting
Hmm.
to spark up again, and it's on display for the world, not just for us, on display for the
Absolutely.
for the world, and people looking at us like, this is America?
Right.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
still America. Like, we need to stop saying this is America. This is still
Hmm.
America, because, like, it just
Yeah.
it never
It doesn't.
stops.
And we say that we are the greatest country in the world. We say like the Trumpsters say, "Make America great again," and like really when, where, like where were we great
Yeah,
wholly? You know, where was where was the greatness
for all
for the
mankind, right?
entirety of the country? It has not happened yet. You know, there has been moments of
Yeah,
prosperity. You know,
yeah,
there have been moments
yes,
of overcoming. You know, and there have been so
hmm,
many more moments of divisiveness and hate, and so many more moments of
hmm,
oppression within the borders of the country that is supposed to be the greatest in the world. And I don't know how we continue
yeah,
to perpetuate this false narrative of greatness when I don't know that we've seen it. I don't know that we have really known greatness in a way that empowers us all, or even gives us all the respect of civility in our day to day, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's the. I feel like there have been moments of greatness
Mm-hmm.
within communities, but not for
Mm-hmm.
the entirety. For us,
Yeah,
Black
absolutely.
Wall Street. We were thriving and surviving and existing. So that was a moment of greatness for us. So if he wants to make America great again, is
Yeah.
that the greatness that we
Can we get
get? Do
Black
we
Wall
get our
Street?
Black Wall
Mm-hmm.
Streets back? Make America great again.
Yeah.
Sure, let's do that. So again, like I don't know. There's been a collective, unified
Mm-hmm.
portion of greatness for this country
Mm-hmm.
that was all inclusive.
Yeah.
That we are the melting pot. Everybody comes here for a better way of life. Um, but you have groups that don't or are not afforded
Mm-hmm.
that better way of life, and it's disheartening. And then to be able to see the events that happened on Wednesday unfold, it's like, wow, we are really stepping back, and we are regressing to a place that is not healthy for
Yeah.
this country. It's not healthy um for the mental stability
Mm-hmm.
of the nation. It's just not a healthy place to be. And when people start doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever they feel is necessary to survive, then you bring on these moments of violence that can turn in a snap. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
know, it's really volatile right now, and the pot is boiling, and somebody put the pressure cooker lid on and it's about to explode. And that's a bad place to be, to feel like, this is where we are, like
Mm-hmm.
to feel like you're in a pressure cooker and the top is about to blow is a bad place to be. And yeah, I just
Yeah.
I worry for this nation. I can't help but worry for this nation in this moment, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
where do we go from here? What's next? Was
Yeah.
Wednesday the beginning?
Absolutely.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
what's
I
next?
remember I was talking to my dad a couple of days ago when Trump made the announcement that he wasn't going to be at the inauguration, and the first thing I thought was he knows something is going to happen, and like that was
Oh
the
yeah,
first thing
that's
that came to my
possible.
mind is he's like, I'm not going to that. Something's going to happen there, and I don't want to be blamed for it, or I don't want to die in the midst of it. And it like that moment, I'm worried
Right.
about that moment
Wow.
at this point in time, and I was so excited for that moment. Um, since November, I've been
Yeah.
like, I can't
Yeah.
wait until January 20th when he just get to go home. And I hope, well, honestly, I hope he don't get to go home. I hope as soon as he leaves office, New York is like, come, bring that ass here. We got an indictment and some charges for you.
Right.
I am so hopeful for that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I do feel like that there will be
Mm-hmm.
some consequences. I just don't know the extent of those consequences, or if it will feel
Mm-hmm.
like justice for us, Um, because, like, to think of like all the people that quote unquote were went down for
Mm-hmm.
him, that he then pardoned.
Yeah,
Oh, don't
I
worry,
got you.
take the rap, I
Mm-hmm.
got you. Just take the rap. I mean, they do it in the hood all the time. Take the rap,
Yep.
your family's taken care of, I got you. And I feel like these people
mm-hmm.
took the rap for him, and he
Yeah.
followed through with the I got
Mm-hmm.
you, and pardoned all of them. So it's again like, will there be justice? Maybe. Will it last?
Yeah.
Who knows? And that's the
Mm-hmm.
slap in the face that we
Yeah.
get all the
And
time.
I don't even know justice in the way that's comfortable for me. Like if I really think about all of the times where there
Hmm.
was injustice, I can't think of a time where you were like, you know what, that feels right. That feels like that should have happened. Because
Right.
think about if we think about all the police violence in this country, like we're still hoping
Hmm.
and just praying for justice. Like injustice does not mean like
Yeah.
reciprocity. Like I'm not asking for an eye out here. Like I'm just asking for common decency of an
Right.
indictment. You know, like let somebody have their day in court,
Right.
and if the court system acquits them,
Mhm.
like it's gonna hurt, but it's gonna feel way better than not even allowing the indictment to exist or have a genesis. It just they're just like, you know what? He shot him 7 times in the back while his back, in front of his kids, and it just no, it's fine. We're gonna put him on administrative leave, like,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Right. We'll pay out his pension.
exactly,
You know.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there are just too many officers of the law that have been able to prosper after taking black life and have been able to go home and feel safe
Yeah.
in their beds and sleep after they have like deprived a human being from having that ability for no reason at all. And there's
Yeah.
just such a big difference in this country in regards to the the policing that like I've experienced than the policing that I see exist elsewhere. Like I know
Yeah.
police have restraint. I saw it on Wednesday. You know, like I know restraint exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, I remember when I
Yeah.
moved to North Carolina. What 10 years ago now? The first year I was in North Carolina, I was pulled over 12 times because I was
Wow.
black. I got one ticket and 12 pullovers, and every time, do you have guns or drugs in the car? You know, like I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nah, I don't have no guns or drugs in the car. And if I did, like,
Yeah.
why would I say yes? Like, why in this moment? Like, this is
Right.
when I'm gonna come clean.
Because what, officer? I am breaking the law.
Like, I'm sorry. I got two
A
keys in the
mess.
trunk. I got AR-15 under the seat. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Like, yeah.
Right. Mess. I've been in the car with
Mhm.
you twice getting pulled over. And I feel like it might have been the same day. I definitely was on the same it was on the same road. One was going to
Mm,
Wilmington and one was
mhm,
coming back from Wilmington. That you were pulled over twice. And I rode that area. I worked in Wilmington this week, so I rode through there Thursday and came back yesterday, Friday. And while riding through, I was like
mhm,
really attentive. Usually I'm in the car, I got audiobook going. My mind is just kind of like, I'm in my book and I'm just like, the road is
mhm,
my safe haven. I do a lot of my thinking and processing in the car. But Thursday, I was super like alert, because I know that area, it's a lot of pickup trucks, it's a lot of backcountry roads and it's
mhm,
a lot of darkness. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm on this road right now. The country is quote unquote in arms, and like people are feeling empowered. Who's to say that if something happens to me on this road with
mhm.
bad cell service,
Facts.
that I can make it to and from my
Absolutely.
destination. So I was really on guard. I don't think I've ever been as nervous um traveling on this road as I was this
Mhm.
Thursday and Friday. It was really like, wait a minute. I'm out here alone. What
Yeah.
happens if, So of course make sure
Yeah.
full tank of
Absolutely.
gas, tire pressure
Absolutely.
good, I always pray
Mhm.
for travel mercy. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
bind up anything right now. Universe, like provide for me. Come on, creator, get me
Yeah.
to and from. Like,
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was really, really one of those moments where I had to say, if something happens, and even seeing, state troopers on the road, I think I may have saw
Wow.
9 or 10. You hardly ever,
Mhm.
you might see one or two, it's like 9 or 10. And I'm just like, okay, watch your speed, Cherise. Make sure you're doing
Yeah.
doing the right thing. And it's like you said, the police and the difference in policing. Like this group just pretty much was invited in. Like they should have just
Yeah.
walked them through, been tour guides. They were invited in, to freely kind of come in and do, and they joked about it. Like there's pictures of like senators that still had their emails open and the alert saying,
Mhm.
hey, something's going on, get out, XY. Like they didn't have a chance to like shut down confidential
Yeah.
governmental emails, you know? So, and the people, like, you know, I'm sitting at somebody's desk, I got my feet up, and I'm just like, the, the the
Yeah.
gall, you know? And here I am trying to travel for work
Hmm.
and am nervous. Like, am I going to make it to work? Will I survive
Yeah.
this trip for
Absolutely.
work? You know? It's the differences are
Yeah.
just
And it's just
astonishing.
it's a place of sorrow, and it's a place of just realizing so much in a moment that it's heavy. Like it's heavy. It's been heavy since Wednesday, and it's interesting because I was having a conversation, and I was saying how different the reaction of the police was, and initially there was a
Hmm.
moment where I wished the police reacted the way that they react to peaceful Black Lives Matter protests, right? But I had to check myself in that moment because
Hmm.
I want no one to feel that. I want no one to know what the police
Hmm.
baton feels like or what a police gun feels like being aimed at them. I think those things should not exist in the way that they exist now. And I had to check myself in that moment because I was like, no,
Hmm.
I don't want police reform for just black people, you know? I know we need it the most, but I want it for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
And I had a
Yeah.
moment with
Yeah.
myself, and I was like, man, I need to check myself right here. And even in that, I'm like, man, like, why do I have to have this level of responsibility to include everyone when that is not afforded to me, you know?
Right. Always
Mm-hmm.
been excluded. Right. I've always been excluded, but here I am trying
Yeah,
to
here I
be
am, like,
inclusive. You know, and I mean, I'm the same.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I Wednesday. It was an hour
Mm-hmm.
after curfew, a whole hour, and it's been a whole hour, and there hasn't been one can of tear gas. There hasn't been any rubber bullets, any real bullets. There weren't any
Mm-hmm.
water hoses. Nobody called the dogs. There was the taser or anything that come out, you know, to quote unquote um
Mm-hmm.
restore justice, or to
Yeah.
restore order, because all of these things are what they require
Mm-hmm.
to restore order if black
Mm-hmm.
folk are out past curfew. So I feel you. I had to have a moment myself because I was pissed. I'm like, my people have been out here protesting for more calls than the fact that like your homeboy lost. Your
Mm-hmm.
homeboy lost. Like take this L
Yeah.
and go home. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my people have been out trying to protest for actual justice, for
Mm-hmm.
real matters, and I can't say that their matter, quote unquote, isn't
Mm-hmm.
real to them because everybody, you're entitled to your opinion. I can't be judge and jury to tell you that what your beliefs aren't valid because in yourself
I put my finger up.
you
Like,
raising your hand.
I'm gonna say this. There's
Okay, wait a minute.
there's a court of law that has said that their opinions do not matter. The court of law has, has decided in the matter of voter fraud already.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
now that
and
is
it's
true.
not
Yeah,
our
so
court. It's not a
but
space that where
and
black people,
yeah,
like, we don't win in that court. So the fact that you lost in the court
yeah,
that you own should
yeah,
let you know how much, like, how many lies are you being told that you continue to believe, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're at home sipping the Kool Aid, when you sipping the Kool Aid, and
Hmm.
that's all and these thoughts are thoughts that you've had your whole life, thoughts that you've
Hmm.
grown up with. These beliefs are what you have been taught growing up, and then you have this man that comes and brings all those thoughts to the forefront
Hmm.
and says them freely. For the past 4 years, he's been very disrespectful, condescending, and
Yeah.
just rude as hell. To everybody. He has
Hmm.
demeaned everybody, and there's been no consequence. So when people see that you're on this stage and you can do and say and be as um hateful, I'm just gonna say it, as hateful as possible, then it allows them to also say, oh, well, if he can do it,
Exactly.
I can do it. If he's my leader and I believe in him and he's lead, quote unquote, lead the
Hmm.
people and I'm the people, then I'm going to be led because I've been at the house sipping this Kool-Aid and watching these
Hmm.
tweets
Yeah,
for 40
absolutely,
years. So
absolutely.
yeah.
I told you this story like a couple of, like not even what, a month ago. I was working at a restaurant, and
I didn't.
literally started a
Yeah.
restaurant because I needed a job, and was working, minding my own business. I was doing the things that I was supposed to do. They put me
Hmm.
as the lead of the kitchen in a very short period of time. And then somebody.
I mean, because you can throw down on the pot, so. Barbecue King, but
You
anyway.
know, you know. But somebody.
My mama said, let's talk about them ribs. Look.
I need to come back. I'm gonna make her some more. I'm gonna come back and make her some more ribs.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Look, give
no
my mama
doubt,
a
no
slab.
doubt. But even in a moment where I'm leading individuals and I'm telling people, when they can go home, all that good stuff, and like we come to the end of the night, and the guy who is working just leaves. And so I'm sitting in the back by myself, like,
Mhm.
okay, if the owner comes back here, he's gonna ask me where this person went. So I
Mhm.
need to just be like, I was proactive. I went to the owner. I'm like, look, so and so left. I didn't give him permission to leave, but he's not here. So
Mhm.
just so you know, like he left. Next day I come to work. So and so is all upset that I said that he left early when he knows he left early and doesn't know why I told the owner that he left early. And in
Right.
my head, I'm like, this is not a logical argument to talk to me about. Like, you should look in the mirror and discuss why you left early without
Mhm.
permission. you know? And he thought he had to defend him.
Right. What made me
Hmm.
think it was
He thought he had to defend himself, like, with me. And I'm like, he's like, why did you tell the owner I left early? I was like, because you left early. He was like, no, I didn't. And I was like,
okay?
I'm confused. I was here last night until we closed, and you were not. So, as far as I'm concerned, you left early.
Right.
So, he turns his back, walks away, and
Mhm.
just throws out the N word, just, I can't stand working for this. And it took everything in my body, Reese, to not run up on him and just drag him through the entire restaurant.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I knew what that would be.
Yeah.
It would be the death of me, not the arrest, not the conviction or the indictment of me. Like it would just be the death of me because I know where I'm at. I know where I live, and
Yeah.
these individuals in the county that I live in are more proud that this county won Trump than I have ever known in my entire life. Like they're proud of that. It's in the paper on a regular basis still,
Mm.
and the election is over. And I told the owner, I was
Over.
like, "Look,
Over.
this this cannot happen. This will not ever happen again." And uh, I came back the
Mhm.
next day to quit, but the person who called me the N word was still working. Like that's again a
Yeah.
privilege that just doesn't I will never be afforded that privilege to disrespect somebody in that way in front of so many people and then just continue to have a job. And I had to quit because
Yeah.
I didn't want to put myself in jeopardy of having to either hear that again
Mhm.
and reacting differently, or the next time this person gets mad,
Yeah.
what do they do? And I'm just not safe in that moment.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They go beyond
If it
words.
goes beyond words
Yeah.
and I have to
Yeah. And I
protect
mean, I
myself, and then I
yeah.
protect myself, I still could lose everything,
Mhm.
you know?
Right. Because in that situation, this one individual, was bold enough to say it, but how many other individuals, what I'm saying,
Exactly.
feel the same way but just didn't
Yeah.
eat their Wheaties that morning. And if it does turn into something physical, then it could be like, you being
Hmm.
attacked by the mob, and that those the idea that those things are still going on, people being attacked, they're still hanging people. They've been finding people,
Hmm.
black men hanging, in 2020. And they're like, oh no, they committed. No, black
Not at
folk not
all.
hanging themselves like that. It's just crazy. There is this mob mentality that has been awakened, and people are out here feeling empowered to go and do and act in ways that
Hmm.
sets us back, hundreds of years. Even though people aren't saying it, we know there's still those, those behind the door
Hmm.
conversations, but those conversations were
Yeah.
behind the doors
Yeah.
until 4 years ago. And now they are out here on the front street, and everybody is seeing and
Hmm.
participating, in what they say racism is gone and racism is dead, and it clearly is still alive and well and
Hmm.
running rampant, in these quote unquote great United States, because he done made America great again. I'm waiting on I'm waiting on my Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Since we're making
Fact.
it great, look,
Yeah.
give me my money.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think like existing in
yeah,
America as a black person, there is
mm-hmm.
a mm, like I don't feel safe on a regular basis, you know? I remember telling my dad when I was in college
Mm-hmm.
that my heart drops when I see the lights of a police in my rear view. And this is not to say I get pulled over a lot.
Yeah,
Like, you see them, you see ambulances, you see police passing you, and there's a moment of like looking around trying to figure out what I have wrong or what is going to happen to me now, you know, and
right,
pulling over and the sigh of relief
right,
that
right.
falls over you in a moment when when the police officer drives past you. And I remember us having a
Mm-hmm.
conversation about that. And he's like, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't feel that way, you know? And I was really taken aback by that response, you know? But over the years,
Mm-hmm.
like from then till now, a lot there's a big difference in the way he views those situations. There's a big difference in how he tells me
Yeah,
when he knows that I'm driving somewhere to be safe. And he knows that if I get pulled over by a police
yeah,
officer, I'm calling him and he's going to be on speakerphone. You know, there's certain things that have been
yeah,
implemented
yeah,
in that time period that he understands wholly that I am not safe out here. He served our country, and that did not protect me still, you know? Because both of my parents, I believe, really
yeah,
wholeheartedly believe that since they served in the military and did the right thing, raised me the right way, and have given me
mm-hmm.
opportunity and some privilege. Like I have some audacity, I have some defiance in me. And those are all things that are
Mm-hmm.
but those are all things that are dangerous when it comes to police officers. um, and so I think they recognize that
Mm-hmm.
the the things they instilled in me put me at risk now. And they're things that
Yeah,
everybody should have, in my opinion, but for black men and women, I believe it puts you in danger of of something bad happening to you.
yeah, yeah. And that's the scary part of it. I have four
Mm-hmm.
nephews. Four from 4 to 19. And the crazy thing is that I worry about
Mm-hmm.
all of them, from the 4-year old on up. My older two nephews, they walk from one neighborhood to the next neighborhood. You know how when we were young, we
Mhm.
walked to our friend's house, and then just the journey to going one street over. What if they don't make it over the street? What
Mhm.
if they don't make it back from the street over? These are things that you worry about, and it doesn't have to be um just like people in the neighborhood, like
Mhm.
police patrol. Who's to say that they're walking,
Eating. Yep.
inking, walking while black, and somebody decides, well, oh, he looks like he fits the description. Black folk always fit the description. So in those moments, day to day, like I said, black women, we
Mhm.
we worry about the black man just from every is he a pit that forms in your stomach, and it starts to fill up the longer that you go without
Mhm.
communication because you don't know. So we as black women, we're not nagging you. We just want to make sure you safe. Say I'm good. A quick I'm good email, text
Yeah.
message. Listen, you know. So it's one of those things like we never get to rest because we're always worrying
Mhm.
about the black man, and it's very,
Yeah.
like I said, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And not only do we have to worry about you all, we also have to worry about ourselves because we have
Mhm.
always been the target
Yeah.
from everybody. you know and safety for us, it has not been a luxury that we've been
Mhm.
afforded ever. So yeah, it's just a hard place to be in as a black woman because there's so much weight and so much
Mhm.
burden that just comes. And not that we're out here looking to be burdened or looking to have all this weight, it always falls on the shoulders
Yeah.
of the black woman, and it's really hard to try to navigate through those times. And especially when you see stuff like what happened on Wednesday just taking place, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, what I'm
Mhm.
saying, this is really going on. And this group is out in public saying we're here loud and proud, we're here and we want justice, and hang him.
Yeah.
They were
There was a
chanting
noose.
hang
They left a
him.
noose.
Where's my pen?
They left a
Yes,
noose.
yes, that was the news that was strung up. So I mean, in 2021, they're out here yelling hang him for a white man. Then what would
Yeah.
they be saying for a black man?
Yeah.
You
It's amazing how far we have not come. You know, like I hear often
know?
that we have come so far, and I think technology has proven that we have not come that far. I think I think the things that we are seeing
Mm-hmm.
happening with the use of cell phones and video and what is it, the body cams, I think those things are showing what has always been taking place. And there was a moment in time
Mm-hmm.
where we didn't know, there was no witnesses, and now we are all witnesses because like George Floyd was
Yeah.
not new. What George Floyd embodied was
Yeah.
white America saw it and there was no justification for what happened. Like every in in
Yeah.
different instances you could always say, well, if the individual complied, then maybe it would be different. Well, I know we see the video from here to here, but we don't know what
Mm-hmm.
happened before that. There was always some type of justification that they could bring up and use to deflect the tragedy of what happened on the screen. And I think George Floyd was the first time they saw from beginning to end the death of a person, of a black man, in public
Yeah.
by the knee of a police
Yeah.
officer, and there
Yeah.
was nothing that they could say. There was no excuse that they could make, and
Yeah.
I was telling my dad, I was like, "This is what that was not the same, but it was reminiscent of Selma, because America didn't
Mm.
believe that black people were being faced with all of the force and the violence that we said we were." And when they watched the
Right.
marshal and Selma, and they come over the bridge and they just get attacked, and that is played on national television,
Mm-hmm.
on news, and around the world. And for the
Yeah.
first time, you don't have the privilege or the ability to say we don't know what happened. Like now you see everything
Right.
and you have to process it. You have to look yourself in the mirror like, what am I
Yeah.
going to do about this? Who am I going to be in this moment? You know? And
Mm-hmm.
I think this
Right.
instance on Wednesday is another one of those moments. Like who are you going to be in this moment? Like who are you going to be in this moment
Mm-hmm.
now that you see what we've been telling you for so many years existed in this country? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are questions that, that will
Mm-hmm.
be answered, and those are questions that will, or those answers will play out in the media, because now we are here at this part
Mm-hmm.
with technology. So we'll see what side of the fence people fall on. And I want to make sure that it's known that we do realize that it's not
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
so we're not trying to say, oh, all people feel like
Mm-hmm.
these people felt
Yeah.
on Wednesday, but we do have to recognize that people do
Mm-hmm.
feel like this, so to to be like, we're not going to all lives matter this situation because we know that all people don't share the same,
Mm-hmm.
opinion, which really again is a whole slap in the face of
Yeah.
all lives matter
Mm-hmm.
and blue lives matter, because like I'm just so confused. Do you
Yeah,
know what your cause
exactly.
is? Like, you know, you walk around with Blue Lives Matter flags, but you are literally like
Mm-hmm.
crushing
Yeah.
police officers. I'm just
Yeah.
so confused. All lives matters, all lives matter, which
Mm-hmm.
include blue lives, but these lives are lives that you in here just disregarding those who
Mm-hmm.
opposed you, but taking selfies with those
Mm-hmm.
support you, which is so crazy. Like even in blue lives, you have two sides
Yeah.
of blue lives too. You have those that were trying to stop the events from happening, and then you have those who's like, hold on, homie, let me move this out the way. The
Yeah.
it's free before 11, but I got the back door. So if you come at 12, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like you have those different sets and mindsets within the same
Mm-hmm.
group of people. So again, we're not saying that it's all white people or
Yeah.
whoever. We just know that there are people within
Mm-hmm.
all demographics who don't share the same idea as the folks who decided that they wanted to storm
Yeah.
the Capitol. Who says that?
I
Let's go
know.
storm the Capitol.
Like
Like, is this
it's literally a
1912?
movie though.
The last time it had been breached is
Yeah. Yeah.
what are we doing?
It's
My man had his Viking uniform on. He had like the horns on the helmet, and he had his
yeah.
fur wrapped around him. Like he had the war paint on his face. Like,
Like what did he
what are we doing? What
yeah, he
are
came
we
there and
doing?
did exactly what he intended to do, you know? And that's the amazing part.
Makeup.
That's the amazing part that they got to come there and do the thing that they intended to do. And even to hear the response from certain people, how I heard the Chicago police union head was saying that there's a lot of frustrated people out there and they just went there to voice their opinions. And I went back and I had to rewatch some of the videos and I didn't hear any voices. You know, like I was trying to hear what their opinions were and I didn't hear any opinions. You know, like
Yeah,
I, I saw a lot of actions, but I didn't hear anybody voice any opinions. Like and to say that the election was a fraud or we stole it is a legal fallacy at this point in time because there's not a shred of evidence, and the recount that they did helped Biden's margin. So what are we doing?
right. Oh, we actually,
Yeah,
my math was
he
off.
actually won by 20,190. So you still lose.
Right.
Yeah.
Still,
It's
right.
funny too because I see
Oh man,
uh,
it's crazy.
Biden was confirmed, and somebody tweeted uh, Joe Biden has won the presidency for the 25th time since November.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
but man, I think
A whole
that
mess.
this is a good
Yeah.
place to stop because I know that we can. There's I think there's so much to unpack from the events that took place, and I think
Yeah.
we have only scratched the
Yeah.
surface of even how we feel, because I know,
Definitely.
like,
Definitely.
I want to say too that I appreciate you because I know there have been so many times where I have traveled and I have forgotten to text you back when I arrived, and I just want to say I appreciate you for always like checking on me, and that's huge. I think it took a long time for me to realize
Yeah.
that that's what that was. Not just from you, like even from my mom, even from
Yeah.
just the women, the black women around me, just to say, hey, let me know you made it safe is so I can stop worrying, so I
Yeah.
can know, so I can go to
Yeah.
sleep. Like I didn't
Yeah.
realize for so long that that's what that meant. And I want to thank you for always holding a
Yeah.
place for me and like knowing that you want me to be safe. I appreciate that. And I love you for that. Uh, yeah. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
sorry that you feel the way that you do, you know, in regards to like how you felt going to work. Like I hate that. And I could take that from both of us, but hearing you voice it is like, man, like it's just it's tough to hear, and it's the hard conversations. I've talked to a bunch of people this
Yeah.
week, like people who've called and checked on me, and I'm just very thankful for all of them. And again, I'm very thankful for you too.
Yeah. Well, I always want to make sure that my people are
Hmm.
good, So I appreciate you. I appreciate the change in you and that you actually, respond. I appreciate all that, It's just,
Yeah,
we all we
absolutely.
got, and we want to make sure that we make it from
Hmm.
point A to point B. And in this day and age, there might be a point A2 that
Hmm.
interrupts A to B, and you never know. So you just have to be more diligent. I did hear a quote that I want to make sure that I leave with, and I don't know exactly who said it, where it originated from, because in this culture,
Yes,
everybody take it and spread
absolutely.
and say it's theirs. But I did hear Charlamagne from the Breakfast Club said, "We're not asking you to shoot them like you shoot us. We're asking you to not shoot us the way you did not
Facts.
shoot them." And
That's
that's
all.
all. Yeah, that's all.
Yep. On
So
that note, I think that's a
that's
perfect place to
yeah,
stop. And again, thank you for sticking with us through this episode. And we hope to have many
yeah.
more for you. Again, thank you, Reese. I love you. And y'all take care.
All right, love you too, E.
Bye.
Bye, chillers.